Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel again. I came back with a new video. So in this video we'll cover the topic about Apollo server. How can we set up Apollo server using Node.js, or how can we communicate with our database. So I had created a blank folder called Apollo server. So I'm gonna initialize npm, so I'm gonna use npm init -y. So that's will gonna create a package.json file for me, and further on I'm gonna install some dependency. First one, I'm going to use npm express. Then I'm gonna use apollo dash server. Next one, I'm going to use apollo dash server dash express to communicate with our express server. And main thing, I'm going to use GraphQL. So hit enter. So let's create the file for it. And here I'm going to first of all I'm going to create a GQL server file. So let's call it gql.js, or I'm going to call it Apollo server. It should be fine. So it should be Apollo and server.js. Oops. So that's fine. And also for dev dependency, I'm going to use npm -d nodemon. Hit enter. Now for the Apollo server, I'm gonna just use here initialize with the Apollo server. So I'm gonna use const something from require, and it should be from Apollo server. Also do one last thing in your package.json. Here I'm gonna use for start the server, and here I'm gonna use server as an key, and its value I'm going to use nodemon for now, and Apollo server. That's gonna start Apollo server for me. If I hit command npm run server. So that's all. Like inside the Apollo server, I'm gonna use Apollo server here. And next thing, like in the GQL we have the types or resolver. So basically what's are the types? Types we are using for write the query, or mutation, or subscription. Also if we gonna type gonna declare the type, or we have to write the query, then we have to perform the related action related to this, like whenever any particular query should execute, what it will do. So for this we have to use resolve words for resolve the query. So for this, let's use const type depths, and it should be here. I'm going to use backticks, and there I have to use type. And as I told about, like we have the different type, we have query, mutation, or subscription. So here I'm going to define a query, and inside it for now just I'm going to use total users. So when I'm gonna execute this query, it will fetch the number of users we have. So as you know, we are fetching the numbers, so its type should be of int, and it should be required. So I'm gonna use not here. And so next thing, we have type. Now I have to create resolver for this query. So here I'm gonna use resolve words, and this should be equal to something query, and inside it I have to pass total users, and total I think it should be total users here. This would be fine. So total users should be here, and it accept a function. So here I had created an arrow function which will return the value of 5. So if I'm gonna execute this one, so obviously it will give me a total number of users are 5. So now I have a type of query and also resolver. So I have to create my Apollo server. So I'm going to use const Apollo server, and let's make it should be in lowercase. So the letter should be in camel case. And here I'm going to use new Apollo server. Inside it, I have to pass type depths, and next thing I have to pass resolvers. Both of things I had defined already above. So now I have to create the port const port, and it should be process dot env if and port. Otherwise I'm gonna use 5000 for this. So let's start the server. So let's use Apollo server here dot listen, and inside it, first parameter it will accept the port, on which port you have to start your server. Second one, it accept a callback function. So inside callback function I'm going to use console.log, and there I'm going to print a message to access the server user, and here I have to pass the URL. So I'm going to use http colon / localhost, and here I have to pass the port here. So I'm going to use $, then the here I'm to pass our port here, and in place of double quote I'm going to use backticks here so that I can access the value of port variable here. So let's save this and see what will happen. Save this one, and let's npm run server. There you can see it's saying like to access server use http localhost, and if I use command plus click, it will gonna open this one. So there you can see our Apollo server has been started. I'm able to access this. And also one more thing, like if you are gonna write any query mutation, so it generated docs for you automatically. There you can see we have the docs, the total user, and it's is of int type. And let's see if I'm gonna pass here the total user is pretty fine, and if I'm gonna execute the query, there you can see I got the data. Total users are 5. So that's for the Apollo server. Now how can we connect this using our Express server? So I'm gonna just stop the server for now, and just I'm gonna create new file called server.js, where I'm going to create our Express server. So first of all, to create I need const express, and inside it I'm gonna pass the reference for express. Inside required I'm gonna use express. The next thing I have to use Apollo server. So for this I'm gonna use const something I'm gonna use from the require, and it should be from Apollo server express. As you see in previous file, I have used only Apollo server, but to communicate with our express server I have to use Apollo server here. And what I need to import here, I'm going to use Apollo server. So now next thing I have to use const http, and it is from require http. For this you do not need to import any external library, like it's a built-in package in Node.js. And next thing, I have to use a const app, and inside it I'm going to give the reference of express here. So now our app is ready, and I have to use type and resolver here. So in our Apollo server here, I'm going to use type def and resolver from here. Copy here, and now to communicate with our HTTP, uh, to make communication between Apollo server to HTTP, I have to use middleware as well here. So first of all, I'm going to create Apollo server. So const Apollo server. I think it should be better if we copy the same thing from the previous file as till there we have everything is same. So here I'm going to use copy this. I'm going to use the same port here as well, and below this Apollo server here I'm going to use the middleware to communicate between Apollo server to HTTP. So I'm going to use connect Apollo server to HTTP, and here I'm going to use Apollo server dot apply middleware. Inside it I have to pass the reference of app, and it should be so. Now we have our Apollo server, our query here, and let's create a HTTP server. So const HTTP server, and it should be equal to HTTP dot create server. Inside it I have to pass the reference of app. So for further listen this server, I'm going to use the HTTP server. So let's copy this one, copy this, and paste it just below the port. And in place of Apollo server, I have to use HTTP server. Save this one. Now I have to do one thing, like whenever it's gonna I'm gonna use it with Express using HTTP server, I have to use the proper URL. It should be slash GraphQL. So that's all we have to do, and do one change in package.json file. Here I'm going to use node1 space server. Save this, and let's see what will happen. Npm run server. There you can see server has been started, and we have our playground here. And you can see in previous playground we haven't any slash GraphQL. We have only URL localhost 5000. Now inside it we have localhost 5000 slash GraphQL, and if I execute the query total post, it's saying total post on type query. Did you mean total users? Let's see our docs. Yeah, we are using total users. So here we have to pass the proper name, and if you press control space, it will gonna show you hint. Execute the query. Let's see what will happen. So we got the number of user I have. So there you can see we have set up our Apollo server using Express,